I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from India. Greetings from India. Thank you, everyone, for being here for the second day. And it's my great pleasure to be uh, talking about a social entrepreneurship. Yeah, just now, Professor Klaus told us that be the change you want to see. So, social entrepreneurship is about making entrepreneurial actually means activities in the society which will make some major change into the human values, into the society, into the social values. Right? In India, particularly in Indian context, many times non-government or organizations, that is NGOs, non-profit organizations, that is NPOs, social businesses, and social entrepreneurship. These words and these terms are used quite frequently in exchange of each other, but ideally means NGOs and NPOs are particularly the organizations who receive funding. Okay, so they get the funds, and on those funds, actually, they do the societal work, and that is the major difference between means entrepreneurship and NGOs. Here, let's try to means go into the very simplest of definition of social entrepreneurship. It's of course an entrepreneur who would like to deliver a social value, but it is something particularly for the less privileged people, and it is an independent activity. So you have to be sustainable, self-sufficient, financially means you have to break even. Nobody is going to support you. Okay, so sustainable activity by which we can make the change in the society, we call it as a social entrepreneur. Okay, so very simple. I am trying to make the things as simple as possible. As you can see that this is something particularly the boundaries of social entrepreneurship. So these boundaries, I'm sorry. So these boundaries, particularly as we can see, it is a what social entrepreneurs want to achieve is particularly making change means into the social values, making change into the society. And what is the profit? Societal change is the profit. It is not the financial profit. Of course, he or she has to earn money to sustain this, but along with making money, it is more important that means particularly it becomes a something which will add value to the society and add value and improve the quality of life. So we always say that entrepreneurship, whenever there are means uncertainties, there are opportunities for entrepreneurs. So social entrepreneurs are the people who should grab these opportunities as much as possible. I have given so many examples over here. I will not go into the details of that, but just to say one or two, that particularly you can see that Ashoka is a means very prominent example of social entrepreneurship and making the change continuously and supporting it. Grameen Bank, even if it is a societal venture in financial independence and microfinance, still it is sustainability is more important over there. And at the same time, there are many other examples which you can look at. This slide, I would like to focus more. All of us, we know that Human Development Index is based on three important measures. One is life expectancy, that is health of a person, and a country, education, how much the country is educated, a social measure, and what is the gross national per capita income.
Porfa, pasar ahora después.
So, if we see this clearly, I have mentioned all our ISP partners and their HDI ranks of 2020 over here. Easily, we can see that we can break it into three groups. One is upper group, let's say Germany, Sweden, US. Then there is a lower group that is Brazil, South Africa, and India. And there is a in-between group like Spain and Poland. Why? This is something, this HDIs means why I have mentioned this is for social entrepreneurs in India or in Brazil or in South Africa. The problem in the society may be completely different than the problem in Germany or Sweden. So, means if you are working in India, you have to identify the problem in that society and you have to act on that. But at the same time, we can take examples from each others or we can collaborate with each others and actually make a lot of impact into the social entrepreneurship. Professor Uwe Kaspers will speak on how our Indo-German collaboration have already made impact in social entrepreneurship. So I will not talk about this, but try to understand this means when we create a synergy, when we exchange ideas, when we make cooperations and collaborations, actually we can make a lot of impact in each other country. And that is why the whole purpose of this ISP is there, internationalization is there. So I think this is a great opportunity for every country. Now coming back to the Indian issue, because I have given a title of challenges in Indian context of for social entrepreneurs, you can easily find out that in India, the major problem is the inequality of life. That is around, you can find out that almost 10% of richest people have the around 80% of India's wealth and 90% of other population has got only 10% of the wealth. That is why you will find the big shots like Ambani's and Adani's and Tatas and Birlas. These are always in top 100 and Fortune 500 list. So these multi-billionaires are also there. At the same time, there are so many people below the poverty line. And when the country, which is having such a big population of 1.35 billion, for them, actually, this inequality is a major issue. At the same time, this is a major challenge for a social entrepreneur. Another challenge is India is a young country. Almost 30% of Indian population is below means age of 25 to 30. So when below age of 30, your 30 to 35% of population is there. And when unemployment rate has gone up to almost 25%, then you cannot get that easily. Because if you want to improve the HDI, if you want to improve the life quality, yesterday, I think Professor means Klaus also has talked about the OECD Better Life Index. Both indices are almost on the similar type of patterns. So if quality of life has to be improved, it means more and more employment has to be generated. But you can see that what is the scenario today, and this is before COVID. So after COVID and in COVID, actually situation has gone down on the worst side. Particularly the people below poverty line, they are more sufferers. Underprivileged people are more sufferers. So that is here is the another challenge for a social entrepreneurs to create opportunities for these underprivileged people. So actually, India is facing a few points I'm trying to explain over here that India's population, just now I told you that it is a 1.35 billion people are there. But if there are maximum work to the people, so many people are engaged in work, then it becomes a demographic dividend. Otherwise, it can become a forced liability. And if economy means the GDP growth, if it is continuously around when it was around 8-9%, at that time, Indian economy was growing at the rate of 8-9% for a longer period. At that time, it was a demographic dividend. But last few years, because of certain global conditions, actually, it is means stagnant, and particularly after COVID, every country's economy has gone into the shade. So at that time, this huge demographic dividend can become a forced liability also. Same situation with education, because so many people are getting educated, but if they are not means employed, then that can create a new problems in the society, like there is a drug dependence, alcoholism, addictions, and mental health disorders, and so many things. Means these things actually are there, and they are increasing because of the certain issues. Means they are the macro issues, we can say. Agricultural, many of you may be aware that even if means India is known as a developing country, but still actually more than 60% of India's population is based on actually agricultural based economy. So agroeconomy is very strong, but at the same time, in India, there is a problem that most of the farmers have a very small piece of land with them. So if there is a drought, if there is a flood, or if means any climate change, it affects immediately their means livelihood, and that has become a big problem in Indian scenario, agricultural scenario. Not only that, India in last few years has produced a lot, particularly wheat and rice. It is in so much abundance that government has to sell it at very low rate, even exporting at a very low rate. So because of that, means farmers are not getting the money what they should actually means get from their agricultural crops. So at the same time, there is enough food. At the same time, there are a lot of hungry people, uh, underprivileged people in India. Another means issue is a climate change. India is continuously means you may have seen in the media about uh, smart cities, metros means is getting developed everywhere. Bullet trains are coming up, but because of that, what happens when the means urban development starts? There is a deforestation. There is a major means shock to the climate, and many means particularly the balances of natural resources are they are depleted, and that is also actually means if the country has to grow, it has to develop. So whether to climate means conservation issues should be maintained, or developmental issues. So this is another catch-22 question where social entrepreneurs can come up with many smart solutions. In India, woman empowerment is needed. Everyone says that, and we have our means today's guest, Lakshmi Menon. She is a young social entrepreneur, which we will be interviewing after this. So there are means she must be facing many difficulties, which we can have means listen from her only. But many young women, Indian women, they are really balancing between work and life. So that is also another parameter where social entrepreneurship can be means challenges are there. Not only that, Industry 4.0, digitalization, all these actually just like in any other country, in India also, it is going with a very high speed. So because of that, more and more automation is occurring, and because of that, there are very few jobs which are created. So that is another issue, that means whether to adopt to technology or whether to adopt to the, means give work to the human hands. So all these challenges can be answered with the help of social entrepreneurship. So where is the scope? Scope is in food and agriculture, healthcare products, education, old age solution, climate conservation, green energy, gender equality, women empowerment, and so on. I had just mentioned a few over here to give you a brief idea that where India needs a social entrepreneurial efforts. I have on the right side, you can see I had mentioned few examples also, like a Selco. It is particularly means Mr. Harish Hande. He has created 1,20,000 solar energy systems in rural India in the southern state, Karnataka state. So because of that, many poor families are getting a solar energy. Then Social Blood is another organization which is actually taking care of the shortage of blood. So Wahani is another such social entrepreneurship which is actually supporting educational efforts of young people. Pani is another organization which has successfully managed water crisis in the state of Maharashtra, from where we are, Pune people are. So that is last 5 years, means they have increased the huge water body with the help of, means people of Maharashtra. And Gunj is another such example which is in community development. Uh, you may be aware that we talk about gender equality, women empowerment. At the same time, there are still, means acid attacks on girls and so many other things which many times actually those acid survivors, they are really difficult to rehabilitate them. So make love not scars is particularly for such acid attack survivors. For them, rehabilitation is needed. They need a job. They need a plastic surgery. They need a lot of support. And lastly, but not the least, is pure living, a sustainable living effort by our young lady Laxmi Menon, with whom immediately we will be actually have interacting. Our students will be interacting. So, in short, we know the all these sustainable development goals of World Economic Forum. So all 17 goals, it may be a poverty reduction or hunger reduction or health and well-being or education, gender equality, you name any, everywhere there is a scope for social entrepreneurs, and how young social entrepreneurs are actually being the change we want to see. So we have kept a live interaction of one of such entrepreneur along with our students. So our students will be interviewing her. So I would like to, means hand over for further proceedings to my students. Ujwala, you can take over from. I think this brief introduction is just a curtain raiser for a social entrepreneurship, and students will take over further. Thank you very much for being here, and we can have a question answer session after the interview is over. Thank you.
Thank you, Atul sir, for handing this session over to me. My name is Ujwala, and I'm pursuing MBA in HR in Human Resource Management from CDGIMS Pune, India. I'll be sharing my screen. Just a minute. Are you able to view my screen?
Yes.
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 Perfect. Yeah. Very good.
But please press F5 button and then we will see full
Yeah.
screen.
So you, yeah.
Yeah. So am I good now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So further, I'd like to take this session further by giving you a presentation on Kerala, which is a small state located in South India. Our guest for today's interaction session, Miss Laxmi Menon, she belongs to the state of Kerala. So let's proceed. As you all can see, this is a map of India, and the location of Kerala state has been highlighted in the red color in the southern part of India. Known as God's own country, the state of Kerala in South India is globally known for its natural beauty. It is also known as Venice of the East for its serene backwaters. Kerala is often called as the land of spices, is a magical place that has been gifting the world flavor, fragrance, and color for many centuries. And let me tell you that Kerala has been the highest state among the 29 states of India, producing and supplying spices and condiments in India and out of India as well. These are some famous and touristic places in Kerala. As you can see, the Alleppey backwaters, the Munnar hill station, which is a very famous hill station in Kerala, the Varkala beach, the Kolukumalai tea estate, which is a very famous tea garden in the state of Kerala, the Athirapalli waterfall, which is known as the Niagara of India, the Kumarakoram backwater of India, it is known as the paradise of India, backwater paradise of India, the Bekal fort, and the Thekadi Periyar, the popular wildlife destination in South India. In the next slide, we'll take a look at the basic demographic, economic, education, and healthcare information of Kerala. So this is some basic information about Kerala. Thiruvananthapuram is the capital of the state. The population of the state of Kerala is 3.44 crores. The economy of the state is 138.88 billion US dollars. Kerala is known with the state is known with the highest literacy rate in India, which is 96.2%. And all the districts of the state have the literacy rate in between 94% to 98%. Kerala has 1,000 plus colleges, 1,500 plus schools, 1,60,000 plus teachers, 2,000 plus non-teaching staff, and 16 universities, 2 deemed universities, and 1 central university. Kerala has an impressive healthcare system. Over 3,300 government and private medical institutions with 297 beds per 1 lakh population. The highest number of healthcare workers, like nurses working abroad who are working abroad, belong to the state of Kerala. Mrs. K.K. Shailaja, who is the health minister of the Kerala state, was honored by United Nations for her efforts to tackle the coronavirus pandemic. Kerala is the only state in India where Ayurveda is used as a medicine, mainstream medicine. Medicated oils, herbs are used to cure all type of ailments. Here are some key highlights about Kerala's fight with coronavirus. Kerala was the first Indian state to be affected by COVID-19 in January 2020, but now is widely acknowledged as a success story for tackling this pandemic. The Kerala model was successfully implemented to control the pandemic in the other states of the India as well. 18 committees were set up to coordinate contamination and mitigation efforts. A rigorous testing regime, a clear communication and management strategies, functioning health planning and administration were the 3 policy approaches that were critical in Kerala's success to control the spread of COVID-19. Early and quick decisions, clear strategies, well-functioning public health system, timely evaluation of the situation, and in the during the pandemic period. And as a result of all these efforts put together, the rate of infection and fatality were comparatively lower than the other states in India. Now, in this slide, now that we have taken a look at our guests, in this slide we have a basic information about the city in which our today's guest, Miss Lakshmi, has been born and brought up. She was born and brought up in the city of Kochi, which is a major port city on the southwest coast of India in Ernakulam district of Kerala. Kochi is a center for Indian spice trade for many centuries and has been known to Greek, Roman, European, Chinese, Arab, and Syrian traders. Kochi is the financial, industrial, and commercial capital of Kerala. Kochi has the highest GDP as well as highest GDP per capita in the state. Kochi is the largest and most densely populated metropolitan city of Kerala. The literacy rate of Kochi is 98.5%. It is first in total number of international and domestic tourist arrivals in Kerala. It is one of the 28 cities among the emerging 440 global cities that will contribute 50% of the world's GDP by the year 2025. It has been ranked the topmost emerging megacity in India. So now that we have taken a look at our guest's home state and home city, I now take the opportunity to introduce our guest for today's interaction, Ms. Laxmi Menon, and brief you about her social work and achievements. Ms. Laxmi Menon has been a designer and a social entrepreneur. She runs an organization, Pure Living, in Kochi. She is dedicated to finding sustainable livelihood solutions and also in propagating awareness in society about the importance of green living. She has conceptualized Amuma Mathiri Wisdom, a project designed to provide livelihood to underprivileged elderly through crowdsourcing. She is widely known for the pen with love, the plantable pens made up of paper with seeds that grows into a tree once the pens are disposed. She has designed orange alert warning system for the road safety and alerting the drivers to slow down in the danger zones. She has designed the pen drive campaign, which has resulted in collecting 1 million plastic pens within a month. She has been recently widely and globally known for upcycling PP scrap and fashioning it into durable, washable, lightweight and sturdy mattresses to use them in COVID care hospitals. She is the owner of Grandmark, a trademark to identify products by the senior citizens, and she is the co-creator of Chekuti, which are rag dolls, the mascot of Resilient Kerala. This was some social work she has done. Now let's take a look at the awards and achievements of Miss Laxmi Menon, ma'am. She was selected as a governing council member of National Innovation Foundation in 2018. She has been honored as the Earth Day Network Star in 2018 by Earth Day Network Global, which is an apex organization with 50,000 plus affiliate groups across 195 countries for contributions made in the areas of environment and ecology, with special mention to the seed pens. She has been felicitated by the Indian senior actor Mr. Amitabh Bachchan on Star Plus, produced by BBC World on the show Aaj Ki Raat Hai Zindagi. So as we have seen about her, we have learnt about her social work and her awards and achievements. Let's take a look at her videos. Just give me a minute. Just a minute.
When you
Yes,
show
I'm
a
sharing the
video,
screen. Yeah, I'm sharing the screen. Just a minute.
yes, you push the button
This is
so
one.
it comes directly from.
Okay.
There's a button where to push
Just a minute.
when you start that, so the sound comes directly from your computer when you
Okay.
share a video.
Okay. I'm playing the video.
Yes. Okay.
A few months ago, when I was traveling to Bangalore, I saw a family
The video is not available.
and also
Just a minute. Sharing has been paused.
That sounds good.
Just a minute. No share.
Ujjwala, if you are getting a problem, let me share the screen. I can run from I have the video. I can run from
Okay,
my.
sir. Cool. Okay, that would be cool. Atul sir, can you please share your screen?
Yeah. First, you stop sharing your screen.
Yes. I have some technical problem going on
No,
here.
it's okay. No problem.
Thank you, sir.
a few months ago, while I was traveling to Bangalore, I saw a family was living under the bridge. And also a baby was sleeping under sand with no clothes to wear and nothing to lie on. When I saw that sight, I felt so bad for that baby and I was wondering what I can do about it, in my own capacity. As a designer, I always feel that it is a social responsibility to have a new perspective to such problems that we encounter daily and find a neat solution to such messy problems. During the pandemic, as we all they were finding a shortage for the mattresses. In other states and even in countries, the hospitals are turning away the patients just because they didn't have enough supply of beds to accommodate them. Each COVID center should have a minimum of 50 beds. The minimum cost of the mattresses per piece comes around 700 rupees, and as per the government protocol, they have to burn the mattresses once the patient leaves. So if you look at it, there are around 1,000 panchayats in Kerala alone. So that is around 50,000 mattresses. So if we take a rough estimate, we are burning crores of money every week on mattresses alone. And this is not the only eco-menace that is created due to COVID. I'm aware of the amount of tailoring scrap that is being created. The tailors are making only the PPE gowns and there is so much of scrap cloth that is being thrown away. I simply hate the word waste. I think there is nothing called waste. It's only the way you look at it. My grandma always says, nature doesn't know waste. So I try to incorporate upcycling in all my art and innovation projects. And in this case, dots almost connected on their own. I realized I can make mattresses out of these PPE scraps. I named it Shaya, the word in Sanskrit for mattress. The technique is so simple that if you know how to braid your hair, you can pretty much make a Shaya. Even the tiniest piece can be integrated into that plant. You don't even need a needle, machine, or thread to make a Shaya. It is still sturdy, strong, and soft. And the best part about Shaya is that, since it has a plastic coating on it, it can be washed in regular soap solution, dried, and it could be reused again. Not only does it solve the logistical and ecological challenges, it actually creates jobs and boosts the local economy. And in my unit alone, we have hired around 20 women.
എൻ്റെ മോൾക്ക് ഒത്തിരി മുടിയുണ്ട്, അതെനിക്ക് പിന്നെ ഭയങ്കര ഇഷ്ടമാണ്. ഇത്രയും ചെറിയൊരു കാര്യം ഇത്രയും പേർക്ക് സഹായമാവുമെന്ന് എനിക്ക് ചിന്തിക്കാൻ പോലും പറ്റുന്നില്ല.
എനിക്ക് നല്ലൊരു വരുമാനം കിട്ടുന്നുണ്ട് ഇവിടുന്ന്. അത് കാരണം എനിക്ക് വീട്ടിലെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ നന്നായിട്ട് നോക്കാൻ കഴിയുന്നുണ്ട്.
And each Shaya is sold at ₹300, which is the labor charge for the women who make it. And you won't believe, every day we are getting hundreds of orders for Shaya. And so far we have donated around 700 Shayas to the old age homes, to the FLTCs and homeless people. Now that this has been recognized by the United Nations in the list of best practices, I hope that this can be replicated in any part of the world during any kind of crisis. It was my grandma who instilled the love of creative upcycling in me, to find new value in all things. After all, solving problems is a human thing.
Yeah. So with this, I think our students should start interviewing today's guest. I think it is a beautiful example of social entrepreneurship in the time of pandemic. Most of us will fully agree with that. With that, I request my another students to start the interviewing, and I request Lakshmi to say hi to everyone. Thank you very much for being there. Lakshmi, are you here? Can you hear?
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for, I actually learned so much about Kerala through that presentation by Ujjwala. I hope I can get the recording of this session so that I can learn even more about the state. Ujjwala, good job. There's a lot of research that gone into it. I can see in that presentation, very valid points. And for presenting my state, in front of like so many countries, we have representatives from many countries, and I really feel proud to be, from Kerala, God's own country. So to live up to that name, I have to constantly come up with some kind of a solution, right? So, so I think those are the things that is really motivating me to come to be to become a serial social entrepreneur. Because I seriously, I genuinely feel that if you're not part of the solution, then by default, you're part of the problem, right? So that is another reason why I kind of constantly in the process of innovating something for the community.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm open to take the questions.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you so much, Ujjwala, for handling this session to me. As Ujjwala has given us a brief introduction, so we will move forward for the interaction session. Good evening, all. My name is Isha, and I'm currently pursuing MBA in Human Resource Management from CDGIMS College, Pune, India. So on behalf of all the students, I would like to welcome for today's interaction session at our international summer program, Miss Laxmi Menon, ma'am. So, ma'am, my first question to you is, would you please tell us about yourself, like your education, family background, your upbringing?
I am a designer by profession and a social entrepreneur by passion. I'm a home science graduate. Later I went on to study interior designing, jewelry designing, fashion designing, product designing, and I'd been designing for National New York Fashion Week while I was settled in San Francisco for almost 10 years. I was an artist over there. And whenever I was traveling back to India, and especially to Kerala, I could see there's there's a lot of garbage that is thrown all over. And I was, it really used to irk me. So I was just wondering, like, what can I do, the a little bit that I can do about it? Because the way I was brought up, my parents always used to say that, you have a home to stay. We have given you education that puts you to the top 1% of the population. And that comes with a huge responsibility. So look out for avenues where your intervention can bring in a good change to the society, impacting lives. So such an orientation was given to me in a very early stage. So wherever we see, I spot a problem, I try to kind of, intervene and bring in it could be a very small contribution, but still do something about it. Because through my interventions, I have felt that, even if you cannot do great things, you still can do small things in a great way. So
Yes.
that is what I've been trying. And as luck would have it, people could relate to it quite easily, and they all joined that initiative and they were taking it far and wide. So I think I never realized I had become a social entrepreneur until media started featuring me in their entrepreneurial columns. I was just trying to suggest some solutions for some of the irking problems that I had found in the society. Okay, then I realized, okay, now I become a social entrepreneur. So that is how I became one.
Okay, so you have been active in the social field for past so many years. So how did you recognize the need for the product Shaiya?
I am actually quite aware as to what is happening around. I observe things very keenly, and also interact with people around me. Like I'll be discussing with an auto driver if I'm taking an auto ride, with a bus conductor if I'm taking a bus trip, because I just want to know the life that we are not really aware of, so I wanted to know different aspects of life that is going around. Around me. So these are the ways I could actually connect to them. I relate to them and find out solutions, for many problems. So COVID was something that I was tracking very, very closely, and every step of the way from March 23rd, when Mr. Modi, Prime Minister, announced the lockdown, I started a project then. From till this March, I have developed for 12 initiatives, literally addressing a solution to the problem that was existing in every stage. And Shaiya was something that was which people could relate globally, because it was addressing several issues through one product. It was addressing the PPE scrap that was being generated in tons and tons across the world. And actually many were and then there were lots of homelessness that we were reading and listening to everywhere in the world, and also the job losses that was happening around. So through this Shaiya product, we were touching upon all these factors. I think that is why people could relate it all over the world, and that's why I'm here addressing you.
Okay, so can you tell more about Shaiya and how it was developed, like the idea?
Yeah, so being a fashion designer, I was clearly aware of the tailoring offcuts, that is being generated in every fashion house. So even actually Shaiya was a project that I started just before COVID. It was like an intuition sort of. I was using the fabric scrap from my friends' fashion houses, tailoring places, to make a mattress for the homeless. And due to the lockdown, I had just shelved that idea. Why I started was that I thought, there's a lot of the so-called waste that is being generated in such fashion houses. And we know the fact that to make one pair of jeans, we use of 10,000 liters of water. And for every bit of scrap that is, bit of fabric, there's a lot of dyeing that has gone into it. We have been using a lot of natural resources to make 1 meter of fabric. Like, so I thought, even that tiny little bit of scrap that is being generated in the tailoring houses, that's considered as waste, that also has to be upcycled and has to be put into proper use, because that circular economy has to be the mode for the future. That is the sustainable way of looking forward. So and when I started that, I'd been making this shaya and giving it to a few homeless people, but then the COVID was hit us badly, and everything was kind of shut down. But by the end of July, when the COVID cases started spiking in Kerala, and every panchayat was asked to set up an FLTC, first line treatment centers, with a capacity of 50 beds each. There was a requirement of 50,000 mattresses, and it was not easy for us to source all these because most of the mattresses came from the other states, and due to the borders were closed, so we couldn't actually find out, source all these. So when I was talking to the local self-government agencies, they said we are having a tough time to furnish these FLTCs. So that is when I thought, okay, maybe this is a good time to reintroduce that mattress, which I had, had everything. I had done all the homework and everything has, it's set. So again, I contacted my friends in who own the fashion houses, and they said, we don't have any more of the sales of the regular fabric, so we are all switched over to making the masks and the PPE gowns. And the only offcuts, the tailoring scrap that they have, is the PPE material, and it came in like all sizes and shapes. When you cut the neck, there will be like a piece like this, and on the sides they'll have pieces like this. And since it has the plastic lining on it, they were totally clueless as to how to dispose it off. If it was a fabric scrap, they always used to burn it every evening, to clear the space for the trash for the next day. But this was totally new material for most of them. So it was being stocked in huge and in warehouses, with no clue as to what has to be done to it. So that is when I entered the scene, and I thought, let me just try it with this material. And it was like sheer magic. I couldn't think of a better material than this to make the shaya. So what I did was I took those and made it into rope, like you saw in the video, and we just weave it. This is a miniature version. We just tie it with thread, so that you don't need a needle, no machine, no thread, nothing. If anybody can braid their hair, they can pretty much make a shaya. So I called up a few villagers in my neighborhood who had lost jobs, around 30 women, and I asked them to come home and showed them how to do it. And like in matter of like 2 hours, they got the trick of the trade, and they started making it. So right from day one, this caught like, the media, everybody it caught up like wildfire, because everybody was in the lookout for a mattress, for like 50,000 mattress. So in a matter of 3-4 months, we almost used up 9,000 kilos of this tailoring scrap. The best part is that, when in most of the media, I think even in World Economic Forum, in the beginning, they mentioned that it is a used PPE that I'm using, which I'm collecting from clinics. But that is a wrong notion. That is a wrong fact, because I think the issue was people couldn't even comprehend the fact that there is so much of tailoring scrap that is being generated at the factories itself. So maybe it's the fashion designer in me who really, that aspect, who helped me to, with the knowledge that, with the information that, okay, with every attire that you stitch, there's a lot of tailoring scrap that is being generated with that. So that, the designer in me really helped me in finding this source of raw material, and that too almost for free, because they were finding it hard. So people were literally bringing it in trucks and dumping it in my yard. They just wanted to get rid of it. So that is how the shaya came into being.
So how did you form your economical model for making shaya?
So whatever project that I do, and especially during COVID, I've thought that it is my individual social responsibility to come forward and try to uplift the community in whichever way we can. So initially the money is being put by me, because I'd been, I'm a I'd been making money from many of my enterprises, like as a consultant and many things. So the income that I'd been making from that, I was using for my projects. So instead of waiting for the corporate social responsibility, I always take it as an individual social responsibility. I make a model which can be just, tangible and for people to see, like, once a proper model is set, then it's easy to get corporate social CSR fundings and other sorts of from anywhere. Because then they want to, when they listen about the story, the concept behind it, the way it is, the social angle to it, the social impact, people would really contact you to be part of this initiative. So my funding has never been an issue.
Okay.
Because through this project alone, there is women empowerment happening, there is waste management that is happening. We are addressing a social issue of homelessness, because we feel that a good night's sleep is a basic birthright for any human being, right? So we had been, in addition to giving to COVID centers, we had been giving it to homeless people, to tribal community. Whoever sleeps, can pretty much use this.
So in the initial stage, was it a bootstrap model for funding, or were there other ways for funding which you found out?
Yeah, it was a bootstrap model, because I just wanted to let the world know that, there is a solution like this. And initially, this is the way to go about it. And the 300 rupees which I charged was totally the labor charge.
Okay.
There wasn't any extra charge, maybe like somewhere charging like 5 rupees per kilo for the scrap. But that's only like 25 rupees. Those are the things that I would take from my pocket, because I knew that I don't have to go on funding for this project, because once I make the 10 shayas, I will be able to get funding from big corporates. That did happen.
So while developing this product, did you get any support from the government or NGOs, like other NGOs?
Actually, I was not waiting for support from government. I was actually helping the government with providing these shayas for free to the local government bodies. So I'd been giving training to a lot of women under the government department, like Kudumbasri. It's a woman cooperative. I'd been giving them training, and I was told that they had also been making the shaya and providing to the COVID care centers.
Okay. So thank you so much, ma'am, for interacting with me. I would like to further hand over this session to Unmesha, and she will interact with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, ma'am. Thank you so much, Isha, for sorry. Thank you so much, Isha, for handovering this session to me. Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Audience would like to know about the social impact of this product.
So I had briefly mentioned, so this is touching upon a couple of aspects. One is a proper disposal of the waste, because we are upcycling it. So there is no other, if you recycle it, there's a lot of other other resources, raw materials that has to be gone into it to convert it into something else. It has to be burned down, then extracted through a dye or something to convert it into something else. Whereas this is pure upcycling. We are just repurposing, that scrap. But just by braiding it, we are extending the life of it. We are repurposing it into something very noble and very useful. So that is one of the social impact, and providing jobs for the women who had lost their jobs due to the COVID, and also providing a commodity that is so needed during those days at the minimum rate, possible. So these were the social impacts that it had brought in.
Okay. So while developing Shaya, did you face any social or economic difficulty by the society or government?
Initially, it was difficult to let people, to convince people that, these are not the used PP that we are using, because people had never seen so much of waste. They didn't know that, there is so much of waste that is being generated at the production houses itself. So I had to literally take a few people, ask a few people to visit our unit and touch, and feel it. So they'll realize it and see it, that how clean it is. I had to send videos of the production unit to tell them that, the kind of the quantity in which, the enormous quantity, the magnitude in which the waste is being generated. So those were the initial struggles that we had to take. Otherwise, as I think it's a divine intervention. I could just think of, you know, a design like this, the basic, easiest one, where there was no training that had to be given. So it was pretty much a very easy journey throughout.
Okay, can you tell us in a brief, how did it help to generate employment?
Yeah, just imagine if the only option that most of the small scale tailoring houses was to just burn it, because they couldn't, it was occupying a lot of space in their production houses. So that was creating a lot of environmental issues when they were trying to burn it, and the neighbors were kind of, you know, against them, and they didn't know, they had no clue as to how to get rid of this. So I think those were the issues
What
that we were. Pardon?
Okay. What encouraged you to develop this product, Shreya?
Pardon?
What encouraged you?
It's my social consciousness, or the accountability with which, or it's a moral imperative. Like when such a crisis comes, I think crisis makes the unthinkable inevitable. And I feel that in the age of austerity, something of these innovations has to happen, because otherwise the kind of education or the exposure that I got will all be futile, right? What's the point in getting all that? So I was kind of a very deliberate effort I was putting into kind of, you know, put my contribution, to bring in my contribution wherever possible to improve the lives of people, especially during those days, because I could see that, you know, myself and we never had the worry of, like, you know, what I'm going to eat tomorrow, like, you know. So it's a huge privilege to have. So wherever possible, I was doing my bit to bring in a difference in people's life. So this was one of the projects.
Have you taken patent of it?
No, every project that I've done, like, you know, maybe I am doing around 13 projects parallelly. Everything is copyleft. It's an all open source, and there is our website called shaya.in, and you have the demo video there. You are allowed to, you know, replicate, scale it up. You can copy, you can do whatever you want with that. And the best thing is that even if the PPE scrap is not available, I think nowadays we don't get it in our the small scale units from where I was procuring it, because there are some huge manufacturing units that has come in Hyderabad, Chennai, big metros. So it is not easily available as it used to be from the local shops. So I think, you know, even in that, so to make Shaya, you don't have to use the PP scrap alone. Any fabric, even your old clothes, your curtain, bedspreads, even your undergarments, if it's properly sanitized, you know, that can be converted into a Shaya. So as long as humans are there, there'll be clothes available, there'll be homelessness, there'll be job losses that is happening. This all can be kind of, you know, addressed using this one product. So this is going to be this can last forever. This project can be there forever as long as humans are there. So it doesn't necessarily depend on the availability of the PP material alone. This is one of the
Can you tell us about your other products?
Pardon?
Okay, ma'am. So could you tell us about your other products and social duties?
So like another product which was mentioned there, this is a pen that is made of waste paper that I collect from the printing press. You know, again, one A4 paper, A4 sheet can be converted into a pen. This is all made of paper, and we have done printing on it. And there is a seed that is placed right on the rear tip. So if you throw it away, it will grow into a tree. You can also plant it like that, or, you know, you don't have to wait till the ink is over. You can always you can just open this crimped part and take out the seed and plant it, you know, without waiting for the ink to be over. Or even if you throw it away, this is paper, so that will disintegrate. And if the seed gets in touch with the soil, it will definitely sprout. And it is a medicinal plant, you know, that the seed that we have used. And the leaf and the flower is excellent for thyroid treatment. You can scramble it with your egg, or, you know, toss it or whatever you want to, and that is edible and is very medicinal. And the seed also, it fetches around 2,000 rupees per kilo. So it can even be planted as a cash crop. So every part of that plant is pretty much used. So that is one of the project. And another sustainable product that we have developed was in 2018, when Kerala was hit by one of the worst floods ever. There's a village where the handloom weavers were situated. The entire village was flooded, and it was under the water for 8 days, around 8 feet high. And every single garment was, was damaged with the dirt and the dirty water and everything flowing through it. So the only option that they had was they tried to chlorinate, wash it, but it was totally damaged. And the Kerala fabric, this is the fabric that we use. The guys use this, the saris that we use, it's all in ecru color. So you can imagine even a few drops of mud, if it falls on that, it is gone. So just imagine being under the dirt for 8 days. So the only option that they had was to burn the fabric. Around 2 million rupees worth of clothes were lying down in one society weaver's house alone. So the government department asked them to burn it away because they couldn't salvage it. So I intervened, and I felt that, as a designer, I have a moral imperative to somehow salvage this, because otherwise I cannot call myself a designer. My designer status itself was at stake, because I'd been working with the handloom weavers, and I know the kind of effort that goes into weaving every fabric. So what I did was I made a rag doll out of that fabric. Even that dirty fabric, we disinfected it, we chlorinated, but it still had the stains and the scars and everything. But we said, and we called it a che kuti. Che, it means mud. So kuti is a name that we use for calling babies, for children. So we call this doll a che kuti, and we said this che kuti has scars and stains, but che kuti is each of us who survived the flood. So this became a huge hit, and we have, in 9 countries, around 50,000 people were making this, and this even made to UN. And so this has become a beacon of resilience. People started collecting it. They say that if you are from Kerala, you better have one of these. So that has become a beacon of hope and a mascot of resilience and things like that. And in 3 months' time, we raised around 3 million rupees just by selling these dolls. And now we had been working with the 4th society. The project is still on. So that again, they were planning to burn it down. Just imagine the eco menace that would have created, like burning heaps and heaps of clothes. So we could convert it into something of this, and that became a beautiful sustainable story sort of from Kerala.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the interaction with me and all of us. Now the session is open for everyone for the question answers. If anyone wants to ask any question, they can go.
Yeah, Klaus, please go ahead. Mike, you have to unmute. Klaus, you have to unmute.
Yes, I'm flattened with this great idea. This is why I'm mute. Yes, that was a very interesting thing and a great idea. Thank you for that. May I ask you? I'm economist, and what do you personally live from? Is that also your enterprise, or is it an idea for the people you saw on the street?
I have my own brand in jewelry, fashion, and I'm an interior designer, and I design packaging for brands. And we have around family income as well. We're an agrarian family, so that's where I get my income from. And wherever possible, I've kind of my father always believed in austerity, so he has told us, like, how to make best use of your resources, like optimization of resources, what that has been inculcated in our family. So that really helps me in, managing my economics, and I know how to prioritize and where I have to put in the money.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
so that is how I'd been able to like bring in a lot of social initiatives. So even without the help of others, I'd been actually coming up with an idea which is replicable and scalable in pretty much every part of the world. So instead of me giving like jobs to 1,000 people, I feel, that innovation can be replicated everywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't have to be stuck with like, just one idea. For example, the pen, if you look at, you can see that it's been made in, if you look at in Amazon, like gazillion people are making it. So I have taken the patent because somebody told me that, if you don't take the patent, somebody can, and they can stop you from making it. So just to avoid that risk, I took the patent so that I can let everyone make it. And, not to stop anyone from making it, but let everyone make it. So there are a lot of people who are paraplegics. If they can just move their fingers, they can make the pen, and they had been earning a revenue from that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, means I think Lakshmi, you can see there are a lot of applause in the chat box for you. So many people are appreciating you, and if you can, means actually in the chat box, if you can give the details of your URL or where people can reach all these to you.
Sir, can one of the students ask me, because I'm telecasting from the phone, so I'm not able to see the chat box. If somebody can help me with reading it out, and
I have already.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I have already posted her email ID into the chat box.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
I have one question, Lakshmi ma'am.
Yeah, please.
In the starting of the interview, you said that there was a rumor that you have used PPE kit for making of Shaiya. So I would like to know that how did you clear these rumors? Like, how did you tackle with it?
I had to show the people the amount of the tailoring scrap that is being generated at the tailoring houses. Then they realized, okay, there is enough raw material. I don't have to actually necessarily use PPE. So that really helped. And media had been of immense support. Like, they had made this viral in every language pretty much. So they have shown bites of, the tailoring units who had been supplying it to me. So that made it, they convinced them. That took care of the problem.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Anybody wants? Shall I thank on behalf of everyone? Thank Klaus, Maria. Yeah.
No, I think Jolanta Brałecka likes to ask for something. Please.
Yes, thank you. I just, I unraised my hand, but thank you, Lakshmi, because I was mesmerized by your presentation. And I wanted to ask whose idea it was and where the money came from, to actually make this video, because it was really very educational, and it showed the process of making the mattresses. And so I found this way really, good for spreading the information. So I was wondering how this came about.
That was one of the promotional videos by the Morris Garage Motors from UK. They were doing a series of stories on the change makers across the world. And this was one of the stories they had featured from India. So that is how it was shown. That is why the quality is so good,
Yes, exactly. So, and that's usually what's missing, there are some great projects, and then, because there is no money for promotion, let's say, then they are sort of, they fall into a gap. So
absolutely. Yeah, the quality of the presentation made it all the difference, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was really fortunate enough to be picked up by them.
Yeah, still, amazing project. So, congratulations. So thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Still, I think there are few raised hands, or everyone is done.
Sir, Miss Miss Brigitte Burkel raised the hand before. I think we missed her.
Okay, okay. Yes,
I-
Brigitte, would you
I
like?
only wanted to applause. So that's very interesting, and I'm very proud that I can. Sorry, I have to put it in other words. I think it's very interesting to make the change with the other women, to put the other women within your business.
Yes, whenever I do, I try to work with the most underprivileged people, and the way we break down the task is such a way that, you know, even my 97-year-old grandma can be part of it in some way. That really helps to people, you know, to make it more inclusive. We take a deliberate effort in doing that. It's interesting that even when for the project where I make the pen, the cap is being put by my grandma, she's Alzheimer's and she's not physically fit for anything else, but she helps me with doing that. So we take a very conscious effort to bring in people of all skill sets to this.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Very great.
Thank you.
Yeah, on behalf of ISP 2021, I would like to thank Lakshmi. Thank you once again for being here, sparing your time and sharing your valuable inputs to this, because there are so many students. Out of this, you can see 158 people were there and hardly 10 professors are there. Otherwise, 140 plus are young students across the world. And this is what actually we expect from such collaborative efforts to motivate our students and everyone. I think Deborah still wants to say something. Deborah, please go ahead. Yeah, Deborah, you want to say? You have raised a hand. You want to say something?
So this I have said. Can you see? This is
okay. You have that trail.
And
Great.
I asked myself when I got it, I asked myself, what is that? And now I was remembering, and yeah, just a funny fact that your pen goes over the world.
Oh, so sweet. Good to know.
And Deborah, from which country you are?
I'm from Germany.
Germany.
Oh. Thank you, Deborah.
So Lakshmi, your idea is already in Germany.
Yes, glad to know that.
Okay, so all our ISP partner, faculties, friends, next time, whenever you plan an India visit, we will go to Kerala. We will personally visit Lakshmi and we will try to find out her venture. I think.
Please do.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Lakshmi, for being there. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for everyone's patient listening. Thank you so much. Really matters a lot. You know, I could reach to so many countries and so many students from my room. It means a lot. Thank you so much for considering me. For inviting me to this.
Yeah, all the best for your further work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for the possibility to listen to you and for the good inspiration.
Yeah, Klaus, you
Thank you, Klaus.
I will take you to Kerala.
Yes.
Make a trip. It's a beautiful place. You shouldn't be missing. I think Discovery Channel had listed Kerala in one of the must-see places before you die.
Oh,
so don't
okay, okay. And so let's see when we can travel again. Huh?
Yeah.
At the
Prioritize
moment.
this. Put it in the top of the list.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good.
Thank you. Nice meeting you. Bye. Namaste.
Yeah. Uwe, I think I'm handing over to you.
Yes, thank you. I'm really happy that we could hear from you about this project, and I would like to introduce something completely different and a way something similar. So it's about the projects that I have in mind already since a lot of years, and it get into practice after I visited India. So let me share my screen with you. This is an image that you will find when you Google the word design thinking. So it tells us that innovation takes place when human aspects, technology, and business come together. And as I am a social worker, the human aspect is always in the center of the thinking. And social workers don't care very much about technology, and even they don't care about business. So this is my experience. So so my idea is, and I've already worked on a project since 35 years, to bring technology and human needs together. And I worked on a database that deals with the application of law in Germany. And I was thinking about how can we build, how can we get technology into the process of social work, at the core function of social work. And I was thinking about an application that deals with counseling. And well, I tried to apply for money at the government, and it was dismissed. And so because you said you didn't apply for anything, so I stopped applying for it, and now I try to invest in that myself, and I got a partner in India that is developing it with us, and the project is called CIGE. CIGE is the German word for goat, so you know a goat. Yep. And CIGE is an abbreviation of the German words Ziele gemeinsam erreichen. And it is very funny that if you take the word goat, you can translate it the same way. You can call it goals achieved together.
Oh.
So what it is about? The basic idea is that counseling in social work is a kind of choice architecture. So people take choices that are good for them, and maybe they take choices that are bad for them. And to model their way of making choices is an important thing in social work. And counseling, in my mind, is something like creating a chain of assignments of goals. So people have goals in their life, and to move from goal to goal and to improve their life. Then I found that smartphones are widely spread, which is not very new to you, but even in very low income households, everyone has got a smartphone. And smartphones can incentivize people to stick to their goals. We find this in sports. And the problem in social work is that the data is really private, and this data really needs protection. So data privacy is a very important thing. And in my mind, we don't think enough about getting technology and right now artificial intelligence together with social work. And I guess lots of social workers would think, okay, I don't want to be a part of an artificial intelligence system, but maybe there are chances in this. So if we talk about CIGE, there are some roles there. So there's something like the CIGE service, which is the provider of a certain software that I was talking about. Then there are social service providers in the field, organizations that employ counselors. So there are counselors, and they have clients. They are the users of the software. And in the end, there will be CIGE research who analyze the data created by the counselors and the clients. So here you find the model of what we are working on. So there is an application, there is an app that you can use on your mobile phone. And there is one application for a client and one for the counselor. And they interact in a way that the counselor assigns goals to the client, and the goals and the client, sorry, gives the counselor the information whether he or she succeeds in applying these goals, or whether it's a failure. It's the same process like you would talk about in a counseling process in person. And on the other hand, there is something that I would call CDGIMS research, which analyzes the goals that were assigned to the clients and whether the clients could reach the goals. So it's a kind of an expert system that can be developed so that the machine is able to tell the counselor, maybe if your client had a failure with this goal, so maybe try another one. So this is the idea, to get the experience of lots of counselors into a computer system and assist the counselors to assign suitable goals for their clients. So if we get into the software problem, there are different levels. So there is the basic system of the phone. So there's the Android or the iOS, and then we used elements. I think all of you know WhatsApp and use it. And most of the people who use it don't care at all that you're selling your data to Facebook. So Element is an application that uses something similar, but it's an open source software. You said your mattresses are open source. This is the same idea. We use software that is open source. And on top of this Element software, we put now something that we called CDGIMS, so the application that is used in social work. So what we use is something that Facebook also uses. It is called the metrics system, and it is something that is getting popular right now. As you can see, the German army uses metrics as a technical backbone to exchange information, and lots of French public services use it. And I'll put these slides on the server so you can look it up. I can already show you some screenshots. Here you see there is private messaging that works. So there is a counselor who exchanges data with a client, just like on WhatsApp. And here you see there is this Element client, and there is the CDGIMS application on top. So the counselor can invite a client, and here says no goals set. He can assign goals now that are important for the progress of the client. And here there is an example. Now he has created a client, and the client then on the phone gets invited to the system. Then CDGIMS consists of a list of goals, and here is one goal, which is one of the most important goals in education of small kids. I can tell you, every evening I read out to my child before his or her falling asleep. So in order to create progress in little kids, you just read out to your kid every evening. So this is one goal that maybe can be assigned to a family. Here you see every evening at 8 p.m. And now, imagine they have talked about that. And then this goal is transferred to the phone, from the phone of the counselor to the phone of the client. So right now, the goal appears on the client's phone and says, okay, every evening I read out to my child, so it must be for sure the client's goal. So the client does it, manage to read out to the child, and he can now check, okay, done or failure. And if it's done, the goal will be displayed as crossed out. Then the information instantly gets transferred back to the client, to the counselor. So the counselor, if he or she wants, can react right away and knows, okay, what has happened. He or she can give feedback right away and say, okay, congratulations, keep the pace. So the idea of that is, if we talk about research, now we have on a computer system the experience of lots of social workers. So there are goals that might be follow-up goals. So one goal, if that is assigned, if it is a success, or another goal if it's a failure. So the idea is create something like big data with the experience of social workers. And this is an idea to use artificial intelligence to improve social work this way. So who is involved there? This is the website siege.app, and the idea was put into practice when I met this guy from Pune. He has created something similar, and we try to combine what I say the best of both worlds. So people from India who are good software designers, and here's a member of our team, and we try to combine this capability with our capability and our background of data privacy, and we hope we will manage to bring progress into social work. Okay, so this was in brief the
very interesting. Thank you so much, for taking us through this. Wow.
Klaus, you have to unmute.
Yes, thank you. So this was the more technical innovation and more technical entrepreneurship. So we have seen, actually, Uwe Kaspers is very open to new ideas and to more input to his idea. But I'm afraid we have to need a break necessarily. You can talk about everything, but not above 1 hour. So I think we take a short break, and in 10 minutes, we should start with our action in participatory art with Agnieszka, or Aga Wu, as her internet name seems to be. So heartily welcome. 10 minutes, and then we'll be back. And we can print, we should, if not done, we should print out the documents that are in Moodle, please. Okay?
Yeah.